check here.
Is there an agenda
Oh, yeah, I was hustling.
by chance?
I didn't get them for everybody else either.
Yeah, you probably need one.
Okay.
I got one, so
Okay.
you don't need to give me one.
No,
working.
no,
I'm working on it, but I can
I was a slackero.
Just a
make scribbles and notes on this one.
Yes.
Give me just 1 second, Commissioner.
I'm right in your road.
If you're kind of under 600,
Awesome. Mike's wearing a red shirt. Okay. Right, that's the right one.
Yep.
Awesome.
You're rolling, Commissioner.
Okay. Welcome to Iron County Commission this morning. Today is the 26th day of August, 2024. We appreciate everybody being here this morning. We're going to start out our meeting as usual with a player and the Pledge of Allegiance.
How much sleep have you gotten?
Not
We're going to
much.
start out with an opening invocation. We've asked David Johnson, our Economic Development Director, if he would lead us in a prayer, and then George Colson, our Emergency Manager, if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, great. Our dear Father in heaven, we bow our heads before you this morning. We're grateful to meet as elected officials, staff, and citizens of this great county, and pray that thy Spirit will be with our elected officials as they discuss and review items of importance related to the residents and citizens here, and that they may have thoughtful questions and make thoughtful decisions. And pray for thy guidance and thy direction and thy watchful care over our communities and our state and our country. And we pray for our military personnel, and we pray for our first responders, and we are grateful for the many blessings that have been given, and ask that thou will help our eyes to be open to those great blessings. And these things we thank thee for in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Let's look at our minutes from July 22nd, 2024. Are there any question or comments on
Good.
those minutes?
I'll move to approve the minutes for 7/22/2024.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then our claims for payment.
I'll make a motion to approve claims for payment from August 12th, 24 through August 25th, 24.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Brought a pen today.
Good job.
Out of the game.
Out of the game. I got mad because I couldn't find any pens, and I ordered a 12-pack on Amazon.
Oh, there you go.
You done got pens.
I have pens. All right. Clerk. You got something for us, John?
Well, I'm not as organized as I'd like to be, but
Weird. You haven't been busy. What your excuse is?
no excuses. Good morning, Commissioners. Just a few things to report on today. I won't take too much time. I was able to get my hands on a hammer drill, and we've gotten holes drilled for the 24-hour drop boxes at Bryan Head, Enoch, Cedar, and there was one more. Anyway, and then we're going to pour a little concrete here at Canaryville and out at Burrell Junction. I've had the opportunity, been kind of going back and forth on Newcastle. It's where we're going to have one at Burrell Junction. There's a little bit of a administrative burden with having those boxes. We're not too worried about the cost. I've actually already acquired the boxes, but we also would have to have cameras that are additional expense. And so, but we
have cameras at the firehouse? Could you put it in
we do,
conjunction?
and I've actually considered the firehouse. So I went and spoke with a little bit complicated, but the Newcastle post office is ran by the Enterprise Postmaster. So I went and talked to the Enterprise Postmaster on Friday, and there is no Enterprise Postmaster. So,
Right.
so that's ran.
Right.
That's ran.
There
by the
used
guy,
to be.
That's ran by the guy at Milford, and so I was going to visit with him. There's a really good spot out that you. One of my criteria is that you could have it kind of like a drive-up window. You don't have to get out of your car. And there's a spot on the north side of their property, but it would require a camera. Whereas I've already visited with Jared Wilson, and there are cameras on site at the Newcastle place, a little bit further out of the way for folks. So I'm gonna have a conversation with the acting postmaster for Newcastle to kind of see on that. But we're excited. I had a good conversation with all of those municipalities. I wanted to make sure that we drilled the holes where they wanted, which was good because a couple of them were different than what I was thinking.
Are you drilling them from the inside and using a red head with a washer?
No,
and nut? How do you do that?
it's a drop-in expansion nut, yeah, and then they
It's not exposed on the outside, is it?
no. Well, yes, but what we're going to have to do is we'll put a bolt in the rest of the time so that it doesn't get weather in it. We don't want rust or dirt or anything in there. We also don't want people
Just
tripping.
wondering I thought you'd drill them from the inside of the box so that they couldn't access the.
Oh yeah, no, they won't be able to access.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they can't bolt it and take it away.
I see what you're saying. No, so the way they're designed is that you can't access those bolts when they're in place.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, and so instead of a red head, we're actually doing a drop-in cylinder with a thread, and so you just run the bolt into it, but then you can't access the bolt while the box is in place.
I see.
For the rest of the year, we'll just make sure that it's we want a good rubber gasket and a tight seal, and probably like those rounded carriage bolts. That's kind of what I want to have, so people aren't tripping on them, especially like in the Cedar parking garage. Up or Bryan Head, we're putting it right on their porch, and so and we're gonna add a camera for them that's gonna improve because they have some cameras but not on their porch, so we're gonna add one there. A bunch of little logistics to work out, but
And then do you check these boxes daily or?
yeah. So the way that it works is probably not daily during the 3-week period the ballots are out, but we'll make rounds. Grateful for George. He went to some security training with me in Delta with the state people and the CISA people and the Lieutenant Governor's office, and we talked security. And so Commissioner Blake and the chiefs and Sheriff Carpenter, all the police chiefs and Sheriff Carpenter and George and I met last week, and we're going to probably, at least for this election, we're probably going to make sure that myself and an officer will go check those boxes. But like at Newcastle and Burrell, there probably won't be more than 40 or 50 ballots in there, so we'll be strategic about that. Whereas with Cedar, we'll get quite a few. We'll probably
Collect those more often.
yes, and the box in Cedar is huge, but also there's a logistical part for our office in that we're we want to have those in hand as soon as we can so that we're getting them processed. We have to do the signature verification and build those batches that we talk about with the post-election audit and things. And so we like to have those as early as we can, just so that we can try and stay ahead of the game, because by the time you get to the afternoon on election day, you're getting pretty hammered as far as the number of ballots coming in. So I'm working with Jan. I'm gonna kind of keep pressing these clerk differentiation. Right now, my deputies are at grade 2, which is half that of some of my colleagues, and there is no other options in my office. It's either deputy or chief deputy or clerk, and then what you have is you have to give up to be the chief deputy or the elected official. You have to give up your career service protections, and what we found around the state is that there's a growing demand for not that there wasn't before, but even at counties of our size, to have people who it's more of a professional track where they have additional education they have to get. The job has gotten significantly more difficult even in the time that I've been in this office, and so I'm trying to build a career path for people who want to come into the clerk's office. They'd still come in at a level 2, but have an opportunity to work their way up over time and with the education and duties that I require, because it's demanding. Any questions for me?
Nope.
I think I'll stop talking.
Thank you.
Okay.
Emergency management. Come on down, George.
Morning, Commissioners. So if you'll take a look at my budget report initially, everything is well in line there. I'm set up very well, probably may even turn some money back in, so unless I get that Corvette that I want, but other than that,
I didn't see that line item, George.
yeah, that'll be on next year's budget. So getting
Corvette.
to what I've...
George, speaking of Corvettes,
Yes, sir.
coming off the mountain, I'll bet I passed 200 Corvettes going up. What is going on in the state? Is there a
Must have
Corvette
been
convention or
There
car show?
must have been a
There was
rally.
Corvette after
I'll
Corvette.
bet.
Old, new. It was
I'll
really.
bet it was a rally.
Never seen so
There
many.
had to have been a rally.
You see them too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just
cool.
Everywhere.
Yeah, that is cool.
everywhere.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, no.
It was cool.
Well,
it was cool
no,
to see all.
because that's interesting, because if you approve my Corvette for next year's budget,
And
I'll
I
be
did.
able to
I can go
participate.
in
in the rally.
That's great. Speaking,
The fleet says no.
no, Fleet says no.
Fleet said no.
I'm trying to get him to fix my current pickup, so. Yeah, I'm see his hang his head there. And speaking of the canyon, this isn't on my initial report, but speaking of the canyon, about, what would you say, Commissioner Blake, about 2 years ago, you and I started working on getting, there's very little radio communications down that canyon, and law enforcement and fire have a real problem. And so about 2 years ago, I reached out to UCA, and we started that process. The repeater is now hung on the tower at the ski lift. It isn't functional yet because it's a long story with UCA and Harris, L3 Harris, and being switched on, but it's there, and as soon as they make the switch, we'll have actual communication down that canyon, which is going to be
Could you clarify which canyon?
down
Parowan Canyon.
Parowan Canyon, yeah.
So I lose. I can set my watch to where I lose. You know, that's at between Yankee Meadow and second left hand. You just go into a black hole.
Well, your mobile will.
So you're almost to Bryan Head.
Your mobile or your handheld, as you're going, if you get out of range of one of the towers, it makes a really obnoxious noise, and you, for about almost half of the trip up the canyon, your radio's making a really obnoxious
Squawking
noise, squawking noise.
Well, and we had just for, real world issues. One of the officers in Parowan a couple of weeks ago pursued a car up the canyon,
With
and
no
dispatch
radio?
lost him.
Oh, yeah.
Which I wasn't that far behind, so it wasn't. But yeah, dispatch lost him. I found him. He was fine. He'd gotten the car stopped, and but we were both out of radio service. We needed medical. We couldn't get it. Ended up, and it was a psychiatric patient, but I loaded him in my truck and took him back, called for medical to meet us in Parowan when I could get down to the radio service. So
Oh, wow.
Well, and we've had problem.
That's
Dan
an
Benson
issue.
up there, he had a suspected shooter in a building up there, and he got inside the building and had no communications with anybody, and he was all by himself. So that's anyway. That wasn't on my report, but that's, since you brought up the canyon, that's something that I think's been worked on for a long time, and finally we're seeing daylight at the end of that tunnel.
And UDOT has done much improvements up that canyon, which this summer
Well, they look
we've
good.
watched. It looks so good, and that's going to be a huge thing for coming down
Those are
that
some major
canyon.
repairs they've done.
Oh, man.
Avian baskets. And
Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
Great.
Beautiful.
Okay, going back to my
Okay.
original report. So since I last reported, I've been to the Governor's Public Safety Summit, which is the governor always holds in St. George, which is good. The FEMA Region 8 Water Security Meeting. My emergency communication people held their spring field training day out at Three Peaks. Actually, a weekend. It's over a weekend. I always attend the fire chief's meeting, ICOG. I'm always in the Iron County Council of Government meetings. I attended the school district reunification tabletop exercise, provided light sets for the July Jamboree, and between 14 and 20 July, I was on the Graff Point Fire. So it was early morning meetings, but since I was eating breakfast courtesy of Houston's, it was all right. I didn't mind getting up that early. They always fed good. I attended the airport tabletop exercise. The school district going to hold a exercise in November, and so we had a pre-meeting that I attended along with their emergency manager. Had an earthquake meeting with the state geologist. It's never a fun meeting because, like me, he's kind of a doom and gloom guy. So, and when we get together, it really creates a black hole. I attended the Regional Healthcare Coalition meeting. I went up to Salt Lake, which I hate, but Iron County SO and Cedar PD were both. Their street officers and their detectives were needing gloves. The state got all these gloves during COVID, and they couldn't hand them all out. I was one of the few counties that stockpiled that stuff, and now the taxpayers are paying $250,000 a year to warehouse that stuff. And I'm one of the few people in the state that actually go up and get that stuff. But I went up and got a big load of gloves for SO and for Cedar PD. I attended the Sinclair Pipeline tabletop exercise. John and I went up to, where was it?
There was security training put on.
But what?
Fillmore.
Fillmore. I should remember that, being
And we
a
ate
child
well
of the
there, too.
60s. You know, I should remember Fillmore West and the Fillmore.
We had some really good biscuits and gravy that
We
morning, too.
did, and I'd never been to Fillmore, so I found it a charming little town. I kind of liked it. Of course, I went to the jail groundbreaking and the CJC open house, although I had to leave that early because I was taking stuff out to the fairgrounds for the fair. And I wrote a request for regional portable. We've got a portable morgue, as I've discussed before, and we really need, in this whole region, in the 5 counties, we have less than 30 places to put human remains to store them in the entire five counties. So I decided to seek federal funding for the other counties as well, and I wrote that request to go to the region. So hopefully it was about $96,000 to get 4 more so that we can put a portable morgue in every county, and it would more than double our capacity in this region to store human remains. Went to the mass care workshop, and most importantly, or to put a final touch on it, last Thursday I sent in the administrative costs for the 2023 flood report to FEMA, which was the last piece of paper. I started working on that in July of 23. In November of 23, FEMA said that they were not going to allow us to claim that as a disaster. The state fought that until December. FEMA retracted that, decided to go ahead and give it. And so since December of last year, I've been reworking on it because I had submitted the initial paperwork in July of 23, but then had to go back and do it all. So I've been over a year in total, but the last 9 months working on getting FEMA all the stuff they want, and finally did it. I have signed for the first 2 tranches of money. One goes to Mike Worthen, and a little over $9,000 goes to Bruce for the culverts he puts in, and the third one should be released pretty soon for the Gold Springs Road work. And I talked to the state last Friday, and that money should be coming shortly into the state because they can't send it to the county directly. But the state's got a system set up. They're not going to, and I made a point of saying, you're not taking any of my money, are you, for administrative costs? They said, no, FEMA pays us separately. So I said, good, because I don't want you taking any of my money. Well, they expect no different from me. So they said they've got a new system that's going to be up and running in about 2 weeks. So they'll be reaching out to me to find out where I want the money sent. I've already talked to Luke, and we'll just have it sent directly to him, and he can disperse it, or whatever you three decide what you need to do with it. So, but it's finished finally.
Yay!
That's a big feat.
That's a big feat. There's been a lot of work go into that, and we appreciate all you've done, and I know Bruce has done a lot.
Well, Bruce and Justin and Mike Worthen.
Yep.
I was telling Luke this morning, one of the FEMA guys from Florida, he was an environmentalist, he said he wanted to go look at the trails. And I said, well, we can go out and look at them. And he says, no, I need to go over every foot of them that you're going to work on. And I said, well, that's a pretty rugged country. And he says, no, I've got to look at every. So first of all, I piled all these FEMA guys in my truck, and we drove out to Modena. And the first thing they said was, aren't we there yet? And I said, well, we haven't even reached Modena, and that's where we drop off the side-by-side, and then it's another 45 minutes out to
where we go.
And they said, oh, it's a long ways. And I said, yeah. So we got out there, and we dropped, Mike dropped the side-by-side, and of course I've got my sidearm, and I took my shotgun out of the truck, and the FEMA guy says, what's that for? And I said, well, there's a lot of preppers up in Hamlin Valley, and every so often they'll shoot at you. And Mike said, yeah, he said, that happens occasionally, and their eyes got big. And I said, and it's warm enough, there's rattlesnakes out there. And so Mike had them this way and this way and this way and this way. And after about 3 hours of that, the FEMA guy from Florida said, the environmentalist said, you know, I really don't need to look at every foot of this. I've probably seen enough. I can extrapolate. I said, yeah. So,
that's what we thought.
yeah. This isn't Florida, buddy. Anyway, finally finished. So, yeah.
Did you take him to State Line where it was washed out so bad? Is that part of it?
Yeah. Well, we got up close to that, but and then Mike.
Worst.
Well, Mike said after about 3 hours of doing that, Mike said, well, that was the easy part. Now, if you want to go see the hard part, and they said, no. That's when he said, no, I'm good. I think I've seen enough. So.
Oh, man.
Yeah, Bruce and Justin and Mike have been, every time I've made a request, they've come through for me. So, yeah, I'm glad to get that one off our plate. So,
Yeah, we haven't seen the money for the Iron Springs Road has gone to the state too, and we've not seen that yet.
that hasn't come yet.
No.
That's the one that hasn't come. That's the third one I haven't signed for yet. So, yeah, none of it's going to come until they get their system ready for disbursement. So it's going to be at least a couple of weeks before we start when they reach out to me, and I'll direct that money to Luke. So, did you have a question, Commissioner? Okay. Any questions? Any
Oh,
comments?
thank you.
Good work.
Oh,
Good job.
All right. Thank you.
Hello,
David's up
David,
there.
come on up.
I read your mind and the agenda. So.
I usually mark things off as they go, and I didn't. So I'm like trying to figure out where I'm at because I didn't have my little lines.
Oh, you're fine. Hey, good morning, commissioners. You know, if I have a few things I'm just going to report on. If there's things that you want to hear in the future, let me know, just because we've only done this a couple times so far. So just high level, right now we have about 9 active projects that we're looking at that aren't, I don't even know all the information on them, but 9 active projects. What I mean by that is large-scale projects that are interested in Iron County, either looking at the inland port or elsewhere here. They vary anywhere between plastics and packaging to aviation, manufacturing, energy projects, outside of solar. Although solar, we do currently have 15 operating, 5 that are permitted, and then another 5 that are also looking at Iron County. And so we've got quite a bit going on. I've actually been feeling a little bit like running around with my like chicken with my head cut off a bit, but it's been a good thing. So it's been really positive. And you know, we have coming up in October the One Utah Summit, which I'm so grateful that we host it here at SUU to really showcase Iron County, Cedar City, and really drill it in the minds of the state that southern Utah is not just St. George, that southern Utah is a large-scale region, and the role that we play with our new transload facilities makes a significant difference with imports from California to taking Danny Stewart. Well, I know just one of our transload facilities from July to December last year took about 400 trucks off the road on average. And between the 2 transload facilities, annually they'll take about 1,200 trucks off the road. And now people may be scared of me to say, well, what does that mean as far as trucking is concerned? Well, what it means is it comes in by rail, and then there's more opportunity for trucking that last mile, rather than doing these major long hauls and everything. So we've got a lot of positive things going on. I don't know if you guys have any specific questions about things, and if I don't have answers, I can always go find them for you.
Off
Mike,
the
did you
north
mention to him about what we
interchange,
talked about with Adam Snow?
anything going on more there? That's
No,
looks
I don't
like
think so.
a new gas station and a
You're talking the north interchange of Cedar,
Uh-huh.
right there.
yeah.
There's some little things going on here and there. I don't always get information about gas stations and things like that necessarily from engineering with Cedar City. I'm trying to remember, there's been a couple smaller things like that, but I've been more focused on large scale things we have been working on. I've been approached by probably 3 different developers for, we'll just say, retail style projects on the north end of Cedar City. But we'll see what actually comes to fruition. But we've definitely been getting some interest there, which is going to benefit us all regionally, I think. So, yeah.
So speaking of regionally, I talked to Commissioner Blake a little bit ago. I got a call, it's probably been a month ago, from Commissioner Adam Snow from St. George,
Okay.
Washington County.
Mm-hmm.
And they've hired they've hired an expert to do kind of a master plan to present their area to the world to draw
Uh-huh.
business in, and he wanted to. You might reach out to him. He wanted to partner with Cedar City and do it more
Great.
of a southern Utah, meaning Iron and Washington.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
they can help market our inland because they have the people.
Mm-hmm.
They have things we don't have, but we have things that they don't. We have the rail, we have the
Exactly.
inland ports, and those things. So I know that was something that you might want to check with Commissioner
Yeah.
Snow in Washington County. So
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. That's really good to hear and to know. I've been trying to work with my peers down there, and collectively, I've just been, whatever job I do, I always joke that I'm the little drummer boy. I'm the hype guy. And so I've been trying to work with my peers down there and say, hey, let's tell this better story of the impact that we have, not just on the state, but here
do you
westernly.
have,
And
have Commissioner Snow's cell phone number?
I don't.
I'm
yeah.
sending it as we speak.
Yeah, okay. And if not, I've got
Good.
the economic development director's contact info as well. One of the things that we're, on a similar note, we've, been trying to do is, they had What's Up Down South, which they just renamed to the Southern Utah Economic Alliance, I think is the new name. And what we're trying to do is try and see if some of our large-scale manufacturers and businesses want to join that and broaden that region, because I think that's just been an initiative, I think, by just like the St. George Chamber. I don't know all the fine details on it, but again, just another effort. So that's great to hear on the master planning. I would love to join an effort like that to position us regionally, not only to the state, but nationally and internationally. So
Just the sum of the parts is greater than the whole. It's
Absolutely.
Just he wants to sell Southern Utah and include Iron and Washington, and he thinks doing that would be big.
yeah, and the way you phrased it about we have things they don't and vice versa, that's exactly the talking point that I've been trying to use, because they will never have rail, right?
Right.
But
And they've talked about that to
Yeah.
us a lot.
yeah, and so and matter of fact, with these transload facilities, one of the things we did was a little charrettes with companies not only here but down there to say, hey, how could this benefit you guys down here? And we coordinated with my peers down there to help set those up. So, yeah, I'm glad to hear everybody's kind of has that similar mindset, and I think it's going to have a huge benefit. And I know GOEO, the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity, has been real. They've loved that mentality as we've talked about that with them. So, anyways, any other questions or thoughts?
No, we appreciate it. You hit the ground running.
Yeah, I'm
Kinda-
trying.
Yeah, you had big shoes to fill, but you're doing.
Well, Danny Stewart always says that actually we have the exact same shoe size, so but I love Danny. It's great actually having him with the inland port.
So helpful. I'll bet.
Yeah, and this being the first rural subport to the inland port, Iron Springs Inland Port, it's beneficial. Like really, in his words, he has said we now have 2 people making this effort down here, so it's awesome. Anyways, all right, thank you.
It's been really cool to. I mean, we meet the 3 of us and others. I mean, we meet often. It's really a collaboration.
Yeah, that's one thing I've
Very
loved
cool.
here. Matter of fact, usually everywhere I go, and you've probably heard me say this and probably hear me say it again, most places I've worked, you're pulling teeth for collaboration. Here, it's been so much the opposite that I've had the problem of I can't keep straight all the collaborations going on. So I just love to see that, because even what you're talking about with Commissioner Snow, I mean, those are the types of things we want to see rather than the infighting and the bickering and stuff that tends to happen
work
sometimes.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
All
there's a
ships
song
rise-
about that. but-
All ships rise with the tide. So
yeah, exactly. So
it's good.
okay,
Oh, thank you.
Yep,
Thanks,
appreciate
David.
it.
Wade, come on down. It's our fleet manager.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
So I was going to go see if I could get some money out of that golden bucket, see if I could fool anybody, but scratch the paint off pretty easy. So
If Bruce hadn't compacted that dirt so hard, it wouldn't have scratched it up so bad.
we thought about turning the pressures down or even switching up the controls on it. So that
Yeah,
was
I
mentioned too.
Switch
so.
it to John Deere, embarrass me. I would have surely smashed the sheriff's truck if you'd have done that.
So fleet budget's good. Overall budget's good. Vehicle replacement. Let's see. Maintenance has been up quite a bit. It's never really stopped, but there's been more than we can handle. So we've had to sublet some of that stuff out to keep vehicles going. We've started the upfitting of the sheriff's department's vehicles. We've done some minor upfits. We've got one vehicle down there. We're going to do a full upfit on here fairly soon.
Cool.
We're waiting for, I think, 4 vehicles to come in this year that we ordered last year. So once those come in, we'll upfit those ones too. So that should help save us quite a bit of money doing that ourselves. Still working on replacing older vehicles. We've got a few left in the fleet. We're probably always still going to have some older ones that are buy and holds, but we've got a few left at the sheriff's department that we're going to be moving out. And then, like I said, the vehicles that I ordered last December, we got those diesels, those heavy-duty trucks in pretty quick, like a month later. Well, there's, I think, 6 or 7 left that I still haven't seen yet. So the last time I talked to him about 3 weeks ago, and he thought they were just getting built. So hopefully any day now. So there's still some challenges there trying to get things replaced. So the turnover vehicles, we traded in 3 just recently, 3 of the RAV4s. 2 of them were I guess they were 22s. We bought them in 21. So they were 22s. I think they were all 3 were actually, they were all 3 22s. 2 of them had a little bit higher mileage on them because we let the sheriff's department take those to
Training.
Post.
Oh, Post.
Saved us a ton of money in fuel because you know how good gas mileage those things get.
Yeah.
So 2 of them, one of the vehicles came from the attorney's office, and I think it had around $14,000 on it. They gave us back what we paid for it. The other 2, I think it was around $1,500 for both of them. So we didn't lose too much there. It was actually pretty good. And then the maintenance on those was less than $300 for those 2 years on those 3 cars. So the cost of ownership was pretty minimal. So next year we're gonna have a bunch more. We're gonna try to sell or trade in. So we'll have a little bit better numbers on the turnover vehicles. Yeah, so that's about it for the fleet department. You got any questions there?
Nope.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So I'm just going to mention the sign department stuff. We're moving that equipment. We've got everything switched out of that room for Martin. Got everything cleared out. We're just going to work on the electricity and some compressed air, and then he should be able to move in there. So
Is that going to work out good, you think?
I think so.
Good.
Yeah.
Gives him plenty of room in that room.
Yeah, he'll have a lot better room, and he'll be ground level. He'll be able to use that bay there too to go back and forth.
Or clip
Ground-
it's in and out.
Ground level is a big deal.
Yeah. So
Not
Didn't we do that a long time ago?
I don't know. Should have, because it's always been an unsafe practice, I guess, just trying to get stuff up those stairs.
I know.
So I've only walked out of those doors 3 times. So not really, but you know the high doors, the big red doors.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, we should hopefully. I'm trying to get some electricians down there to look at that to get that power moved down there. So. And then the weed department's had great success this year, so I brought Amber to discuss just a little bit about that. And she's super excited here, and I'm going to give you just a little overview of what she's done and what's going to happen. So, thank you.
Thanks, Wade.
It's like childhood trauma answering to your parents when you I think maybe I need to work through that. First off, I just want to give a big thank you to the commissioners and the fleet department, the road department, Casey. The weed board has been phenomenal. The ranchers, I can't even, the list is like, seriously, I'll show you. The partnerships and everybody that's helped, it just is endless. And I feel that I'm just very grateful for that and the passion that everybody has, because you just think, oh, it's just weeds, oh, it's just weeds. But when it comes down to it, when it comes to the noxious weeds and the invasives, people just want them eradicated, and they don't mess around. And I've been very grateful for that. So we just wanted to have me give you guys a few numbers. So we started off the season with mailing out 217 customer letters of people that have been and this is private property that have been treated in the past. And out of the 217 letters we mailed out, 19 was return mail with the incorrect addresses, which we have updated with August. I've updated those. 77 responses back to those 217 letters, and only 60 approved. That they wanted us to treat. So obviously the goal next year and the years to come is going to be more public outreach and education and try to get more response so that way we can plan out our year. This year we're going to send out letters a little bit earlier so that way we can strategically plan our work areas instead of traveling back and forth everywhere. Canaryville, wow. I cannot tell you how amazing everybody was there. I haven't had the opportunity to meet the new mayor, but the farmers and the ranchers there just kind of took over. And if they saw the truck there, they were there, and they were coming and asking us and telling us where to go, showing us where to go. I just want to say thank you to that publicly. Same with Parowan. There wasn't anybody in Parowan that gave us grief out to the Valley. However, I would like to meet and start trying to see if we can have a partnership with Parowan City like we have been able to develop with Cedar City and Enoch this year. Also, irrigation, meeting with the irrigation companies. We've had a couple ideas come out that we're going to try to use and see if we can follow behind those irrigation companies when they're cleaning out their ditches, see what we can do there next year. Acres treated, 922 acres were treated, 7,400 gallons were on the ground, and then as we've been out and about, 70 acres positive. And that's obviously going to go up as we do our inventory and as we're starting to do our public outreach. So, and then I'm just going to say, even when you knock on people's doors, they're like, yeah, do it. We're glad you're here. Thank you. And we didn't know you would do that. So it's been super, super fun to get to meet Iron County, I guess. So as far as the grants, we've kind of talked about that. So I'm just going to go over that. Through UDAF, we have $42,272 coming. And all of these grants that we have received, they all tie in with the bigger agreement with the BLM. So as we're doing our mapping on all of these, all of the maps coordinate and they line up through borders. So that's the I-15 corridor. So that will start at the Washington-Iron County borderline, and then it ends just a little bit past Enoch against the BLM. $21,500 is from UDAF for Cedar City that we applied for to help Cedar City treat the properties that were county that have been annexed into the city now. So we just wanted to make sure that we keep a good partnership there. And Eric and Bart, amazing. I mean, the amount of country that they have covered to make sure that we keep everything looking good. I'm just very grateful. The BLM agreement, so that is an agreement, it's not a contract. And so what that will do is the county will treat both the Iron County private sides and the BLM borders on theirs. And this really helps because we've had a lot of ranchers and farmers concerned about the burns that border their property. So this is going to tie into their concerns. And
the invasive weeds come in really bad on those burns.
Really bad. Mm-hmm. And they're just washing down, and you can see it. So this is going to be very, very good for them. The Forest Service, from the Forest Service, we have $9,600 coming, and that was an agreement as well. And that is for they give us the $10,000 or help us $10,000, and that is for inventory and record keeping on both private and Forest Service. And so I can see that kind of going into a bigger partnership like the BLM has, because I just think that's great. And then also the Forest Weed Supervisor grant for $10,000, and then that's the last one that I was in here for. That's for Fremont Canyon, and this is going to be kind of more of a restoration, and I'm excited to see where we can take this and what doors this accomplishment will open. The goals we talked about in the weed board meeting. They wanted to see more public education, and so of course classroom education. So we'll see in 7 years how that works out. But with USU and SUU, we have been able to get into the classrooms, farm field days. We've had some outside summer project activities where the kids actually, it was super fun, where they came and we taught them, and we did a lot of shoveling of Scotch thistle. Even when we were driving around after to the different locations, if they saw Scotch thistle, they would want to stop and dig it up. So it was like I just really had a fun time with them. And then, so future goals that we're going to be working on through the summer, of course, is strategically making sure that we're getting the work orders to line up to utilize our time with treatment with Iron County and all of our partnerships. And then through the summer, I would really like to try to hit the public outreach, get the word out a little bit sooner. Also, I've done War on Grasshoppers. So I have met up with UDAF and Maggie Francis, and we're going to try to see what we can do to get these grasshoppers treated and dead, because they're absolutely, I can't
They were
take
bad
it.
this year.
I cannot take it. So the horror stories I can tell you is not good. I just want to there is no way I could have accomplished as much without everybody help, but Wade has kept my equipment going, and that has been an absolute disaster this year. So next year, I'm definitely, everyone teases me, and so I'm taking it serious. I might need a budget for a mechanic. But so Justin Hewlett out of Summit, we've never really had it's never really been on the map, but he took the time to help and take me around for inventory, and then he treated 300 gallons in Summit. And I just want to give a special thank you to that, because, and then Luke from the landfill, I mean, he has called me, come in and kept me lined out, and he also has put a bunch down. And so I just want to say thank you. And then I just can't tell you how much and how fun this is. I think I work with obviously the best county. So, but any questions for me for what we've done?
I've got a question, Amber. So, and I'll talk about it in my report a little bit. We're working on some flooding issues out on 800 South. You know where the substation is, Rocky Mountain Sub.
Mm-hmm.
You know, right there. You turn off at Westview, and there's a church on the left, and go down 800. We did a crosscut on 800 South, which has helped with the drainage on that corner a ton. But we're working on enlarging some of those culverts where the substation accesses their property. There's 2 of them.
Okay.
But we clean that ditch every spring, and it doesn't. And the weeds grow so fast you can't even hardly tell it's been cleaned. And we all might have to. And we either need to treat the weeds, or we need to probably clean it twice a year. How hard would it be to treat that ditch on that north side of that real quick, just down that length of road?
Nope, I'll
We
just
need
put
to
it
be
in.
careful. I'd love to use something real strong, but the problem is there's really nothing down there. But it's SU's that field to the west of the substation belongs to SUU, and they graze their animals on it. So we got to be careful not to use anything too strong because it'll bleed. That when it's a lot of water, it bleeds into their field a little bit, and we don't want to kill their grazing. So anyway,
So Andy Heaton actually treated all of 800 South for me. When I got there to treat it, it was already done. So I called him. He's like, "Yeah, I was just there doing it." So what I think might be the good course of action.
we really just need it on the
There.
north side of the road, just where that ditch is, where he cleans that if you could coordinate with Rich Wilson, our engineer, and maybe work with the minute that track operator cleans it, maybe you could spray it. Do you
Yeah.
think that'd be possible?
Yeah, that'd be good. And then I can work something out with SUU too, because they're probably going to want to hit that multiple times,
Okay.
especially for the first 3 years.
It doesn't really matter past the substation. I don't think it matters that much, because once it makes it past there, it flows. Sheet flows okay. It's just mainly so that water can flow without obstruction down that ditch
Okay.
until it passes the substation. Really is what's important. So
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I appreciate everything you've done.
Thank
Amber, You're
you.
doing such a great job.
So just the flood canals, the flood channels, that's going to be a big, huge with the irrigation ditches next year to see what we can do. Even considered and talked about biocontrol with goats. I talked to Rich about that, and with these new collars, and there's just so much opportunity out there available. It's just trying to hone it all in and getting it to fall in order where it's
I think we want to be
productive.
careful on these ditches that we don't kill the willows. Those small willows that grow, if they get too big, they're a problem. But the small willows actually hold the banks.
Right, for the erosion.
For erosion and stabilization. So I don't know how we handle that, but
So
we don't want to.
this is where I'll call in the professionals.
Yeah, you might want to just.
And I'll ask them what their opinion is and then work around that. So, all right. Well, thank you guys, and thank you for the opportunity. I really enjoy my job and I love it. Just thank you.
No,
Yep,
thank you.
Thank you.
HR, come on down.
I do want one, thank you.
I know. I love paper too. Cut another tree down.
Good morning. So before I kind of get into the weeds of nice the weeds of my report today, yeah, I just wanted to kind
Careful
of
so
take
Amber
the
doesn't
time.
jump up and spray you with
I know.
something.
I wanted to take the time to really thank Betsy in my office. This year has been, to say a roller coaster is an
Easy.
understatement. I really don't know if it's just been, I don't know if just the stars have aligned to where everything just feels like a nonstop thing, but man, it's been rough this year. And so much so that we haven't been able to attend the in-person training like we've wanted to over the past year. So our budget looks really good because of that. And that's not our intent. We love to go to our trainings to kind of stay up to date on current trends, but this year has just been not in the cards. I also wanted to thank Carrie for really keeping this county in line. She works hand in hand with our office, even though she works for the auditors. She's part of the HR group because she does so great with all of our time cards and making sure that everybody's accountable. So I love that. I also was able to attend the Sheriff's Office complex groundbreaking, as well as the CJC ribbon cutting, and I just wanted to thank Shalon Shaver, Lieutenant Shaver, and Wendy Justin for all of the hard work they put into those two events. You could tell that the passion was there, and it was just so great to see our county shine. So that's the fun stuff that I really love as part of my job. I also wanted to thank Stephanie Rainey with the Council on Aging Department. She inherited quite a mess, and I am so appreciative of her for allowing me to be able to do my job. And I say that without giving away too much. There's been a lot of heartburn in that department, and Commissioner Blake and I have spent some quality hours there, and unfortunately she's the one that seems to be getting the brunt of it, and I just want to put it out there that it should be directed at me and not her. All investigations come through my office, and I take it very seriously, and it's not something that I enjoy doing, but I really want that to be reflected on me and not her, and it's unfortunate that it's being all hurled toward her. So I just appreciate her so much and everything that she's taking on. So we'll get into the weeds of everything now. So currently the HR department is well below our budget. We do not foresee any anticipated budget issues or concerns for the rest of this year. Since our last report in the last part of May, we have posted, interviewed, and hired 12 positions. We've had 9 internal promotions or transfers, and we are currently hiring 6 full-time positions and 3 part-time positions. So points of interest, our present turnover for 2024 so far is 15.33% or 38 positions. And in comparison of this time of last year, it was 12.1% or 30 positions, which is 8 positions higher than the first 8 months of last year. So our employee evaluation time has begun, and we're hopeful to get all of our departments on board and getting those done, because it is part of Utah code that we get those done. So I can't stress enough how important that is to get done. Our insurance brokers, unfortunately, have reached out to let us know that our premiums will be increasing a little bit higher because of the amount of claims that we've received, as well as the cost of prescriptions and the types of prescriptions we're using within the county. So unfortunately, our vision and dental quotes have already come back, and they're a 6.1% increase this year, but truthfully, it's only about $7 per family and $7 per family for dental and $2 per family for vision, so per month. So, I mean, it's not a ton when you kind of look at the grand scheme of things, but it is a little bit higher. So we'll have to kind of take that into account. We've had some milestone anniversaries since last quarter, celebrating 5 years, Jaron Ford in patrol. Trevor McNeil in corrections, Curtis Cox in the landfill, and Wendy Jessen just barely today is in the CJC, and I haven't reached out to her yet. Celebrating 15 years, Teresa Caldwell in the assessor's office, 20 years, Jonathan Groom in corrections, and Maria doesn't know this yet, and we've got to do something fun for her. She's celebrating 30 years as of a couple of days ago.
Wow.
And that's pretty dang amazing. We only have 2 now, I think, that are left that are above 30 years.
30 years.
So
Wow.
that's pretty amazing. Our EMOD, we kind of discussed last quarter. It hasn't changed, and it won't change until the beginning of next year. It is 0.87% or 0.87, which is great because it needs to be below 1 in order to maintain our great standing within workman's comp. We did receive a PHP reimbursement rebate, which we get every single year, and I'll kind of cover that a little bit. So our rebate for this year is only, unfortunately, $24,661, and we've turned that over to the auditor's office. Last year was $31,527. Year before that, $81,912. So we're kind of on a downward trend, but we're hoping to kind of get that back up. But we still got a rebate, which is good. So any questions for me?
I have a comment.
Please.
So last week, Jen had a pretty important personal milestone, and she completed all of her work for her master's in public administration. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. So I think we should recognize that.
Wow.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
I'm excited to say that I'm finally done. It feels very surreal, but yeah.
Yeah, and then you'll start something else.
Probably because I'm a glutton for punishment, but it just makes me better here. And I think, public administration's always been really, my mom's career with the county was at the Justice Court. So, I had a great example on giving back to the community. My dad often provided services for people in need and never got paid. And we were part of his cleaning out of his office every 5 years. He'd just throw away invoices of people that didn't get paid. So that's part of giving back to this community, and I just love it. So I'm so appreciative to be here.
We're awfully glad you're here.
Yes, we are.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else for me? Okay.
No,
Thanks. I'll see
thank
you
you.
again later.
Okay.
I think
Holy
we're done.
cow, it's 10 o'clock.
Mr. Chair,
Got Candace still.
could we, where this is so short of a meeting, can we just keep going through?
I'd love to.
Barrel
I
through.
would,
Yeah,
I would
let's
absolutely
do it.
love to. Yeah,
Instead
come.
of ta-
No,
instead of taking a break.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
don't have
Candace,
very
no, we're after you. After you, we're gonna keep barreling
Okay.
through.
I'll make it brief, but that is very neat for Jennifer. I'm an MPA alum, and then I've hired 2 within our public defense office. So it's a great, great foundation to have, and great education to have for her. But our department's great. We're running within budget. No concerns that we don't foresee any between now and the first of the year. We're plugging along. Everything's busy. There's been some trials happen, and then some almost happen. But either way, it's working through the backlog of cases. That's always the concern that we hear from the judges, is just making sure that there's no backlog, especially for in-custody defendants. So everybody on the team is working to, I think, achieve that. We have good working relationship with the prosecutor's office, and so I think that helps. Between now and January, we'll just be working on renewing there's 4 public defender contracts that will need to be renewed for 2025. We don't see any changes happening within those. It'll probably just be renewals. So, any questions?
No, we enjoy, we appreciate the lack of drama.
We love
You
that.
guys always make me go after Jennifer, and I have the least amount to say.
Jennifer has a lot of drama in her office.
Yes. Well, no, but great things too, great things. But anyway, there's not a lot to report, but we try to keep our head down and plug away. How about that?
No, we appreciate it. Thank you.
You.
Thanks, guys.
Commission. I think we're down to commission. You wanna go first?
Me to go first. The groundbreaking, and I'll try to hurry because we are late, but went really well. The jail groundbreaking, I felt like went very well, and it was fun. And a highlight because it took us all these years to get to there. So that was fun. And the CJC, what a beautiful thing, building that they have built, and it's in the Parade of Homes. So everyone should go out and check that out, because it's so much donated to go that went into that was just amazing.
I believe too that having that in the Parade of Homes is a tremendous bit of outreach for the community, just to
Yes.
understand what the CJC
What
is.
that really is.
How that
Yep.
works.
Yep.
Yeah.
On the 20th, we had a emergency phone call from UAC, the Natural Resource and Public Lands Committee, and Reg Johnson from Plipco gave us an update before the Governor Cox came out. The state has been working for many years with the legislature to prepare for this lawsuit that they're bringing with the federal government. They anticipate that this lawsuit could bring back to the state half of the BLM ground that then the state could manage. It just, going forward, it has been so hard for the ranchers and different people with the regulations, with what's going on. They're trying to close roads, that type of thing. And the state just said, we need to move on this now to see what we can do that way. It will not be managed by SITLA or the state trust or the DWR or the DNR. It would be have its own. They would put together, and they have done legislation that they would put that all together. That it would be its own agency, and it would be run like the BLM runs it now as far as public lands, but we would be able to use the lands, and we wouldn't have lawsuits every other day trying to shut down everything that we do. So that was encouraging. It's a little bit of a concern for ranchers because some of the other state agencies are a little bit hard. In some ways, they're way, way easier, but in some ways, they're harder. And so the ranchers are a little concerned about that. But I think in the long run, it's going, because the rate we're going now, we're going to lose those lands. They're just going to shut them all down, and we won't be able to use the resources from them. So I went up on the 22nd to a ribbon cutting at Cedar Breaks National Monument. They built a new visitor center, and it's absolutely beautiful. Everyone should go up and check that out. It is absolutely wonderful. And a shout out to Maria Twitchell. She had the foresight to be able to, so they needed money right up front about 10 years ago. And I don't know, Mike was, I don't know whether you were involved with it at that time, but Maria said, we need to give them some money to get started on this. And so some of the people on the board were not with her. They said, why should we put money there? Well, a lot of those folks that come to Cedar Breaks are in Cedar City. They come to the motels and restaurants and that. Anyway, the monies that she put forward at that point, they gave her a shout out several times at that at the ribbon cutting, because without that initial startup, it may never have happened. And to get anything built new in a monument is almost impossible. And those folks was able to do that through that. Iron County actually contributed during that time $550,000 to help with that. Of course, it was $1 million, over several $1 million project, but we were recognized several times. Iron County was recognized several times because we had helped with that, and it does bring economic value to Iron County. Absolutely, it does. And now they have a really nice. The old one was built in the 30s. The visitor center. It's a tiny little, less than 1,000 square foot, I think, and the new one is beautiful, and it'll serve for many years, and it was wonderful.
That was what. Hasn't been on the commission very long when that came around, and that was kind of a hot topic. And
it was.
Kathleen needs to be.
Yes, that's
Ely,
the other thing.
She's been the
Yep.
champion. She's the. I don't know her.
She's the ranger.
She's the boss up there. I
the
can't,
boss.
She's the
She is.
of Cedar Breaks, but
and she was
man,
so
she beat the
excited. Oh my
She had
gosh!
beat the pavement.
You
for
should have
years
seen
on
her
that.
jumping up and down. It was so fun to see.
Yeah,
It
she was able to
amazing.
convince the naysayers early on that this is something that we should invest in, and it's turned out really
It
great.
was awesome. I also attended, and Paul also went to the American Preparatory Academy ribbon cutting. When we were kids, that was a livestock barn, and to see it now, you can't even believe it. We used to roller skate in there, and I didn't remember that beautiful wooden ceiling. That's the reason why they didn't tear it down, because the ceiling and the huge big beams. You should just go in there just to see that part of it.
That's the only thing that's original on that building.
It is.
Every other
Everything
wall
else
and floor
they
is
redid.
replaced. So it's
Yeah.
basically a new building except for the roof.
Yep, and it is beautiful. They did such an amazing job, and they are still taking kids. They're not full yet, and it's very constitutional and American, and it just seemed like it would be a great place to send your kids. I think it's only up to
I think it's through middle
kindergarten
school.
to 8th, or
I think it goes through middle school, yeah.
middle school, but not high school, and they're talking about doing a high school, but so that was really fun. On this last Saturday, I wanted to talk about the mud bogs for just a second at the fair. We had a lot of people that were pretty upset about not having very much mud. Well, the folks that were putting that together and that were running it, the county, helped get the grounds ready and that type of thing, but others volunteered to come in and take care of all of that. And they had some of these real fast cars, the nitrous cars, that came this time, and they can't do the mud. It would have broke up their cars. And so they were really fun to watch. They were very, very fast. So our locals came in, and of course they ran. Some of them ran, at 5 seconds, 6 seconds, 8 seconds, some of them. The nitruses ran at 2 and 3 seconds. That was the difference in the difference. But they were afraid to get too much water in on it, so at first it was dusty. Then they came back in and put a little more. But as far as the grounds, I just have to give Brad and Thane and some of the other road department that went in and helped them. They cleared that complete off. They made 2 tracks, which the folks that were doing the timing, their timers didn't function right. And so that was another issue that we had. And so we're probably going to look for other people to help with that next year. I hate to quit it because there's some people that they live for that. I've got some nephews that came and did it, and they lived to go through the mud. And of course it was not so much mud, but it was still fun. It was still really fun. And I know that some people complained about it. And when you have volunteer help like that, and you put on these events, you do the best you can. And I hope people will realize that. And we will go forward. It was so beautiful the way they had it set up. All of the cars came in and were on that east side. So all the cars that were running were all on the east side. Well, the years before, they were all over by the rodeo arena. This way, all of them got to watch everybody. Their families were all set up there with them. And I talked to my nephew this morning, and he said it was so fun for all of us to hang out together. We got to know all, get new friends and all of that. And so it wasn't a total failure. It for some, the mud wasn't 5 feet deep or whatever like it is some years. But we'll go at it again next year, I'm sure, and they'll just get it figured out and do something different. Maybe we'll have one. They made 2 lanes. We've always had just 1 lane. They made 2 lanes this year, but because of not having the timers, we were going to run them together so that it was a race, and we weren't able to do that. And so this next year, hopefully they'll be able to do that. Maybe we'll do a mud one, and maybe we'll do a dirt one. So, not as much. So anyway, we'll figure it out, and we'll do it again. It was, there's certain people in the county that just love to come to it. A lot of the kids on the 4-wheelers and that, and it was really fun that way. So anyway, I wanted to explain that a little bit, but that's all I had.
All right. Mr. Cousins.
So I've been working on some flooding issues. I'm talking about this with Amber when she reported. We did the road department did a crosscut there on 800 South, right there by the Hallidays on that corner, which is it takes drainage from probably 1,000 homes in that whole area, and all that water ends up on that corner when we have these flash flood events or these cells that come through and dump a lot of water. It inundates the sewer substation that Cedar City owns there, and it also inundates the substation that Rocky Mountain owns, and kind of floods their property because the water crosses better now, but it goes down the ditch, and it just has 2 24-inch culverts to cross those driveways. So Mitch priced, our engineer priced some box culverts, but they're like $60,000 a piece, and we'd need 2 of them. And that's just so much. So I talked to XL Plastics out there that makes the WL Plastics that makes the HDPE pipe, and they have some seconds on some 30-inch pipe that they're going to make us a really good deal on. They're really good to us, and I think I've lined up enough of that pipe to do 2 70-foot 30-inch pipes to take care of SU's driveway and their east driveway, and then some 40 or 50 footers take care of their west driveway. I met with Rocky Mountain Power. I think that they're going to help pay for that to install those. We might provide the pipe, they might pay to install. We've got to work that out still, but they're willing to help with the cost of that, which will help. And that way, that water, rather than be a roadblock there with the water pooling up and backing up, that should help tremendously with those flooding issues. Real quick, we had our health department meeting this week. It was a good meeting. Dr. Blodgett always does a great job, does a presentation each time on different health issues. We had our steering committee after that. Met with Cedar City on they're building some out in the new subdivision, Iron West. They're doing some soccer fields. Joe Burgess donated water and some land to do some recreation out there. So they're doing some ballpark diamonds, some soccer fields, and there's just a lot of discussion on how Cedar City can take their surface water rights from Coal Creek, get it out there, build ponds, and water their grass with that water instead of using culinary, which is going to be a good thing. Then Marilyn mentioned the American Heritage grand opening. I was going to talk about that too, but it turned out very,
really
very nice.
nice.
They should be proud of that and commended on their efforts, and to get that done in time. That's all I have.
All right. You guys kind of touched on a lot of the things I was going to touch on, so I'm going to forgo in the interest of time.
I did want to say the big portion of the fair is coming up, and Wednesday we've got a roping, Thursday a barrel racing, and then Friday, Saturday, Monday is the PRCA rodeo. So everybody get your tickets and come out, and of course all of the rest of the carnival and all that's this weekend too. So, and the and the Ag Fair building, has a lot of fun stuff in it. Yeah, so fair time.
We look forward to and dread this time of year.
Yeah.
Alan, do they have a Sunday evening program?
Yes,
Okay.
Sunday evening program.
I haven't heard much about
It's
that.
they have that every year, and it's in the brochure in the
Okay, I just
tablet.
didn't put it in my
and-
calendar yet.
yep.
I was thinking about that. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know whether she usually sends us. Jamie usually sends out a invite and that for that,
Haven't
and
seen
she
anything.
probably will this week. I'll bet.
Awesome.
Yep.
All right. We're going to push on to the 10 o'clock calendar because we're super short today. Agenda item number 1 on the 10 o'clock calendar is public comments. 3-minute time limit per speaker for public comment participants. Should not repeat others' comments. Only for items not on the agenda. No items related to the commission's role as an appeal board. Comments should be directed to the commission with no attacks on other folks' character. Do we have any public comment today? Seeing none, we will go to agenda item number 2. Discussion and possible approval of a local consent for a single event permit, Oktoberfest, October Festival to be held on October 4th and 5th, 2024 at the Iron Springs Resort. Lauren, come on down.
Oh.
Yeah, we just want to.
What have you got? What tell us about your event?
We've done it before. It was Les Dodge was the general manager then, so now it's me. So it's just gone well, and we want to do it again. We didn't do it last year because I had just barely taken the job. It was a little.
You do food trucks
Yep,
and
food trucks. We're gonna have live music. We're gonna do the wiener dog race. That's apparently. what everybody's
wiener
really
dog
excited about
race.
that.
No way.
Yeah, and then
I've seen that.
just the 2-day thing. So
Oh.
Friday and then Saturday, and we'll have a lot of activities for families and stuff. So.
Awesome.
Oh.
Okay.
Great. I'll consider a motion.
Motion. I would move for approval of the local consent for a single event permit, Oktoberfest Festival to be held on October 4th and 5th, 2024 at the Iron Springs Resort.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
It'll be done.
Okay.
Thank you. Jen, I think you're back up.
Hello again. In the Sheriff's Office Corrections, Michael Meacham, I don't know which way to say it on either of these two, was selected from the most recent recruiting and interview process to backfill the vacant full-time Deputy 1 position effective 9/2 of 2024. And then in the Council on Aging, Olivia Meacham has expressed desire to return to Iron County as an employee, so we were able to backfill the vacant part-time data entry clerk position effective date 8/26 of 2024 in Council on Aging. And then also in Council on Aging, Cindy Roa Heaton has accepted a promotion, moving her from a part-time outreach worker to a part-time activities director position beginning August 18th, 2024. And then in the weed department, we've had this on the agenda once before, and I did send the job description way back then, but I do have copies if you'd like to look at it, with the request of changing the weed supervisor position to where she will no longer be supervised through Wade and will be just considered supervised by one of you. So we've changed that job description to reflect that, as well as change the pay more reflective to a supervisory position.
We had thought that we would do that later on for next year, but because of the grants that we were able to get, we figured that we could afford to go ahead and push that forward. And Amber's done such a great job, and I know that Wade raves on her all the time to me too. He thinks that she's done such a great job that she's ready to go into that position. So.
And then just kind of to to go hand in hand with that. So Amber Hatch would be adjusted from a career service status to an exempt status with pay rate adjustment effective September 1st, 2024.
All right.
Okay. All right, I'll move to to approve the personnel section, item 3, 8 through C, as outlined by Jennifer.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
It is done. County boards. Any movement?
Don't know of any.
I don't know of any.
Oh, any? Do we have any?
Closed session today.
Yeah.
Bless you, Sam. bless your head shake.
Did he say yes?
No.
Oh, no.
No, he gave us. He didn't give us the nod. He gave us the shake.
Oh,
So.
yay.
All right. Well, we will be adjourned.
Wow.
Thank you, everyone.
10:30.